So at this point, I think we should spend just a little bit of time beautifying the game a bit, making it look nice. And we're just going to add maybe some side paths and some trees to this. So starting with the side path, so we've got our main road. This is our main sort of texture. And if I'm just going to copy this, create a new canvas, 1024 by 1024, and paste this in, so we know what we're looking at. Or you could just file open it if you've previously closed it. It's up to you, however you grab the image. But what we want to do is we want to create a new layer, and we want to make sure that this whole thing is the same color as our edge. So I'm just going to use my pipette tool by holding Alt and clicking as far as I can on that side, and then using the fill tool to fill it. Now that will marry up perfectly to my edge. And like we did before when we were working on the previous tile, feel free to go ahead and paint some detail on here, should you want to, and make it look however you want to. You might be using grass, you might not be using grass. You can make this look however you choose to. So you could go ahead and just put your grass detail in there however you want to, but spend a bit of time doing that, getting that looking pretty. Here's mine. I just, because it's sort of going to be top down on view and it's sort of stylized, that's just what I'm going to go for, but really it's up to you. And then file, save that as a PNG like we did before. And give it a useful name like grass wide, save. And then coming back into Unity, we can now import these. So now we've got this, and what I'm going to do, just so we get the right length on this, which is actually a pretty horrible length, I might scale that to 8. I prefer to work in more whole numbers. Okay, and let's just put you at 22. I prefer like the round numbers. Okay, and now I'm just going to duplicate it with Control D and drag it to the side and press R to scale it width as well. So we get a nice bit of width out of it. Maybe scale it to 5. And I'm just going to try and get this in the right spot. There you go, it's just easy to type that in, I guess. Alright, now once that's in place, we can drag and drop our grass onto here. And we can start to see our grass, but like we did before, we're going to have to work on it. It's material. So let's go to our grass material and just increase the tile into, not that tiling, that's the wrong one. Increase that tile to whatever you feel like is going to look nice for yours. Maybe 4 there. I think we did 6 on this before. Yeah, that looks alright, doesn't it? Just come out of play, and again we're just going to duplicate this. Duplicate and move it across. I think presumably to -30. And there we go. We now have grass on both sides. But we're not done there because that was fairly straightforward. What I've done is I've modeled a temporary placeholder tree. So I mean, you can model yours however you want to. And really all this is just a cone. So I've just got a cone and then a cylinder. And I'm just keeping it super simple for now, just for the sake of test. Is it just me or does that look off center? Does that tree look like it's not on it properly? That tree's not on it properly. Oops. Okay, there we go. And export this. Ready to bring into our game. So again, FBX or OBJ. Huh. And we can import these into our model section. Import new asset, find our tree. It's a bit tiny, but we can always just scale it up. Let's scale it to about 4. What's it gone? Huh? What just happened? Where did it go? Weird. So just grab it from the tree model section. There we go. Is that a bit big? That's probably a bit big, isn't it? Let's go maybe 333. That'll do it. And we're going to need to create a few materials for this. In fact, we could probably just put our grass one on the top of that. That looks fine. In this instance, and the cone. We could maybe just, if you wanted more detail, we'd have to duplicate this, which we'll just rename and call tree. Rename tree underscore M for material. Drag you on there, and now we can change the tiling should we wish. If we want to get a little bit more. Detail like that. Just, set that to whatever you want to, but we will need to create a new material for the tree bark underscore M. And in this one, let's set it to brown and drag and drop it on there. Cool. Now we've got a tree. Oh, we should rename these as well. Rename grass wide R. Rename grass wide L. Now, what Crossy Roads actually does, since we're sort of basing it as our main reference, is actually we're working with this long stripe, but Crossy Roads itself actually works on like this kind of system. And it just spawns in a bunch of these, and each one of these has got different sort of rules on it. So it'll have cars or trees or paths or different things. So that's how it creates the randomness of it. But we're not going to do that. We're going to sort of keep it simple. With my tree, I can now just duplicate it and throw a bunch around. So I'm just hitting Control D. Throwing a bunch of these around a bit. Excellent. This game's starting to look a little bit nicer. And I'm just going to create an empty. Rename it to trees. Grab all of my trees because I don't want to see them all in my hierarchy. Drag and drop them in trees, and I can hide that folder, and all my trees are there. So there we go. The game's now looking a bit prettier, and we like it. In fact, let's just do one more thing while we're here. Because of the position of the camera, I don't love how the camera works. So But if I was to rotate the camera, because of how we've set up our camera script, like if we rotate it down, the camera is going to start going towards the ground because that's what it thinks its forward axis is. So I'm just Control Z that back to normal. So what we're going to do again, we're going to create another new empty, which we'll call Cam Manager. And on the Cam Manager, we want to add our script, the camera script to it. So we go to our camera script, drag and drop this on our Camera Manager. And then we're going to get our camera itself and drag that onto the Camera Manager. So the camera becomes a child of the Camera Manager. Make sure you turn off the script for your camera, which we can do by just deactivating it here, or pressing the little options and removing components. And so our Cam Manager now has the script, the camera has the script turned off, which means the Camera Manager itself will now move forward, and we're free to rotate and move the camera to a position that we feel is quite nice. So the Camera Manager itself, which is just an empty thing, is moving forward. And the rest is good. There we go. The game's starting to take a bit of shape. Let's add some obstacles next, I think. But for this video, that'll do.